Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On the Spot Motorsports. I'm your host, Mitchell Gunter, and tonight we got a wonderful show. We have Natalie Torrence joining us. She is the wife of Top Fuel driver Steve Torrence, but she works for very many different teams in the NHRA as public relations. And so we're going to discuss a little bit about that tonight. And we're also going to talk about what it's like being married to the champ and everything that's involved around that in life. So without further ado, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. When I hear you talk about being married to the champ, it's funny because I just see him as Steve and just so many. So it just makes you smile.
Well, before we get started with questions and stuff, we always like to give our guests the opportunity to introduce themselves a little bit, talk about their education and all of that good stuff.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't really prepared for that, but I mean, I guess you can't fake your history, right? Um, I'm Natalie Torrence. I am the owner of Innovative Creation Experts, which is a social media and public relations company that caters to not only teams in drag racing motorsports, but also small businesses driving large footprint line. Got bachelor's from University of Laverne, graduated in 2011. Master's in business strategy from Claremont Graduate University, in which I graduated in 2018. Shortly after that, I found experts out of the need uh, to fulfill a role with Gray Motorsports. At the first Gray started was a public relations person. After that, I was approached by several different activities, whether it be public relations or for social media purposes, and that's where it's led today. As of late, last December, Cassandra Powick, who is the daughter of the cowboy Mark Powick, and I joined together, and we have created a successful, far more successful business than I can ever dream, because it's as if myself has been cloned, and she has just taken our business to new heights, and we've been able to cater to some of the NHRA's biggest names and do it in a very professional fashion, which I'm very proud to be on here and talk about. And we day in and day out, we talk with some of the leaders, not only in drag racing but in business as a whole.
Um, how many teams do y'all actually work with?
Well, it depends on the event. Since Pro Stock Car and Pro Stock Motorcycle don't compete at all of the events, it can vary from weekend to weekend. I will say we're gearing up for one of our largest weekends of my career this next weekend. We are at either 21 or 20 at from sports all the way.
We're losing you just a little bit on your volume.
I said that we're gearing up for one of the most successful weeks of my career, where I believe we're 21 sportsman.
Um, with the U.S. Nationals coming up, it's a really big event, and it's very important to all the teams because it's points and a half. Everybody's trying to that's outside looking in, trying to get into the countdown. That is their way to try to make up some ground. Um, any of those teams that are looking into making the countdown, do you work for those
Uh,
teams?
well, because NHRA has everybody wants to end up in the top 10. After Indy, it's prestige in order to be in the top 10. But since NHRA has installed the new rule, if you attend all the events, you can still compete for a championship. The pressure isn't as great, I would say, but the egos are just as high. Just to say I'm going in the countdown number 10. Nobody really wants to brag about being number 12 or number 13 and having the ability to compete for a championship. But there are some teams as of late that are on the cusp 10, 11, maybe even 12 that are looking in that the pressure's on. But I think that the last couple of races is when it started because they know the points are about to reset.
Right. You know, it the U.S. Nationals is the Super Bowl of drag racing, and it brings in a lot of fans. As you're doing PR work with some of these teams, uh, do you try to get with the drivers and try to schedule in different times for them to come out and meet the fans throughout their busy day? So they're doing meet and greets as well as getting their quality time that they need to do to overlook, uh, the software where they were at on the track and how their car was performing.
We definitely have a schedule, and most of the teams have a pretty consistent routine weekend in and weekend out. The level of appearances or the asks, for instance, is definitely higher, but the structure remains the same as we conduct all year, only because that routine and normalcy and consistency is what breeds success. So if there is an ask such as a suite appearance or autograph session, it normally happens earlier in the day, not to conflict with any of their normalized engagements, such as a warm up or their time at the ropes or just being seen in the pit. A lot of the times after a warm up, if something goes wrong, they have to warm up the car again. So having any kind of additional asks in there, whether it be, like a suite visit or autograph session, we just really don't entertain.
Right. Um, I've got a question here. It says, does it ever get complicated working with other teams with you being the wife of Steve Torrence and also doing things for Torrance Racing?
I would say when it comes to the clients that I work for, when they go head to head with Steve, it does. But that is where the strategic planning of the business comes in, and joining forces with Cassandra Powick makes sense because everybody needs representation no matter who is in the other lane. So even though I may be an advocate for my husband in one lane, Cassandra is able to be just the same advocate in the opposite lane and provide the service and the support that is needed for the fellow competitor.
Well, that doesn't leave you a whole lot of time for you or Cassandra because y'all are probably standing up there at the in the staging lanes and up there by the track itself, taking pictures and making sure that the drivers has everything that they need. And so a lot of your time is there, and I mean it's an ongoing job. You're on your feet for what, probably 16 hours
It's
for an event.
it's really important that each individual team that we work with feel like they're the only one. Every time that I'm in the pit, I make sure that my time and effort is focused on the task and representing that particular team. Because if you are not giving the attention to one of your clients in that moment, what was them from trying to find something that would, because we are a source, we we are able to provide a higher level of service at a lower cost, I would say, but still give them that professional representation that they need. And they all understand that We try our best to be everywhere. And I think that the majority of them, I would say maybe 9 out of 10 would say they are always in the right place, the right time, get what I need on time. So that is really what we strive to do is individualize, customize service, support for each one of these, no matter who follows through. What with loan, provide support as well as
Well, David Rogers, he's joining in right now with us, and you're still having a little audio technical difficulties, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll with it. You're still having a little audio technical difficulties, but we're going to go ahead and I'm going to mute David because he's echoing. One of the things, what led you to drag racing? What led you over to drag racing?
So drag racing actually found me. As I had mentioned, I'm a graduate from the University of Laverne.
So drag racing actually found
and
me.
If you are familiar with the University of Laverne and
So drag racing actually
ex Auto Club Dragway, and I was sitting in class and heard this loud noise, found out there was an event in town, and saw it as an opportunity to make money. So I went on Craigslist and looked to see if they needed and anybody was hiring any kind of temporary labor, and found a job working with Harley Davidson for the weekend. And after a successful 10 years working with Harley Davidson, the manufacturer, is when I decided I was going to start my own business out of a need of public relations. And here I am. So after working with Harley Davidson, from that one day of hearing the drag races in class, it has sparked a new career.
And I tell you, there's a lot of people, they think drag racing is pretty much just working on the car and being a driver. And they don't see all the hospitality things that go on behind doors, all the public relations stuff that y'all have to do to get teams what they need to help them set up their schedule, do advertising, taking photos and videos. I mean, there's tons of jobs out there. If you want to get involved in drag racing, it doesn't require you to have to drive or work with tools. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is a good friend of yours, Antron Brown. Super nice guy. He's been around the NHRA for many years. He started out racing pro stock motorcycles and kind of got away from that when Don Schumacher got rid of the motorcycles, and he went on to get licensed in a top fuel car. And now he's got his own business, his own race team. And I wanted to ask you, how much involved were you in that, and in setting a brand for AB Motorsports?
Well, Antron has always had the vision of owning his own team, and his motto is one team, one mind, one purpose. And when it comes to being highly motivated and determined, Antron is the epitome of that. So I cannot take any credit for the thought and the execution. That was all Antron. When it came to assisting him in the social media space, of course, we had talked about how we were going to brand and what we were going to post and the tone of voice that we were going to use. But when it comes to the mechanics, I cannot take any credit for the inception and the hard work that him and Billy Joe, his wife, has played a really big role, as well as Ted Yerzik, into creating what the team was, what the team is now. That win was very huge for them, and as him and Billy Joe and their 3 kids are a part of our lives personally, and just to see them experience that success, there was nothing sweeter. Of course, we wanted Steve to win, but with Antron being in the other lane, you really couldn't lose, no matter who won that day. And we were very happy that it went to Antron.
Well, I'll tell you one of the smartest things that Antron and Justin Ashley did was they decided to work together to, help them out with cost on parts. They could order twice as much and save some money. And I tell you, it's really helped their team financially by doing that.
I'm not really sure the inner workings because we too work with Justin, and Antron played a very big role in that when it came to making that happen. So very, very appreciative for Antron, but I'm not really sure the inner workings of how that's been able to benefit them financially as far as a dollar amount.
Right. But I tell you what, drag racing is very expensive, and if you can ever team up with another person to help you out, uh, sometimes you got to do it. Especially, Antron, he's trying to get his AB Motorsports off the ground. It's his first year, and I think he's doing a heck of a job out there. And he is very good with the public, making appearances and coming out and seeing fans. And on the most part, most of our NHRA drivers are that friendly. I've never been to a pit area where a driver wouldn't come out and spend time with the fans, and especially the little ones. That's the ones that are very important to spend time with, because we want them to enjoy the sport of drag racing, because we want to make them fans for life, and that's what keeps our sport going.
That is correct, and every one of the clients that I work with know that that's the number one important thing, is going to the ropes, meeting that person, thanking them for their support, and just for being there, because it is not inexpensive to come to a drag race. I will tell you that.
You know, you the fans are not going to not come. I mean, if they have been going there for years and it's a tradition, I know it is for me and my younger son. He has been going to the drag races ever since he was 1 year old, and when he was in the NICU and stuff, that's how I met Clark. Me and Clark, we just bumped into each other and started talking, and our friendship started off there. And I brought Zane out to the races uh, that first year that he was able to make it. And Steve just took up a lot of amount of time with him and talked with him, and he just stood there and stared at Steve and just acted like he knew everything Steve was telling him.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Steve is really good to his fans as well, and I do appreciate all the time that he has taken up with my family.
Well, we appreciate you and your family and your son very much.
Of course, you can see what's back there on the wall.
Yes. I see Josh's TechNet.
That is actually Alex Lofton's Pro Stock crew
Okay.
shirt.
Okay. Oh, TechNet. I say TechNet because Josh is running the TechNet scheme in Indy this next weekend.
Oh, cool. I need to get a crew shirt from him and get him to sign it as well, and hang that one up on the wall. So I'll get to talk to him after the season and see if we can make that happen.
I apologize. Steve's crew shirt as well.
Okay.
That shows you where my head's at. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about Ron Capps, another funny car racer that has broke away and has formed his own team as well. He's doing extremely well. How much influence did you have there, and what was your role in helping him out?
So when it came to Ron starting his own team, he had worked with Cassandra at DSR very closely. Him and Cassandra have a really good relationship. They've developed a rapport that is like a yin and yang. So when her and I joined forces in December, it was a no-brainer that he wanted to continue this relationship with Cassandra. So she is actually the one who helped him navigate through this space that's now Ron Capps Motorsports, and she's really taken the bull by its horns and driven the content behind everything that you see, all of the graphics. So winging it with Ron, she attends every week and helps orchestrate that. Also works really closely on the PR press release side with Allison McCormick, who also started her own business and broke away from DSR and started her own, and she caters to various teams much like we do. So on the social side, Ron runs his own social media. That is 100%. But on the Ron Capps Motorsports side, does much of the management and curation and is up front and center of it. Ron Capps.
Well, I tell you what, I like that winging it with Ron. It is very, very entertaining. I like to see all the different places that they go to.
Special guest here in just a second. Hold on one
Oh, okay.
Come on, baby. Come here. Come here. Come on. What are you saying?
Hello.
So this is Haven Charlie Torrence, and she is in training, and one day I'm sure she will help Cassandra and I collect content for most of these teams that we are working for now.
Well, I tell you what, when she gets a little older, I know a guy that's got a junior dragster, Antron, that they can put her in. Hello.
Not to mention my role at the racetrack, being a mom is the most important.
Very true. And I tell you what, she is just the cutest thing. Hello. and I just think this picture right here, it just sums it up. This picture right here just sums it up from last weekend in Rainer.
That's Daddy, isn't it? Say Daddy. Daddy.
And you know, family is very, very important. And to see y'all out there, of course, Josh Hart and Brittany with their child as well, and raise them around it. I think it's great because you never know. She may be the next Top Fuel champion or Funny Car champion. You never know.
That's right.
Just real quick, we'll go through some pictures. I know you got a busy life going on there. Let's go to this one right here.
That is the epitome of our life at the racetrack right there. We are the only ones who bring a 1-year-old to every race, and Antron is her uncle. Antron loves her and she loves Antron. You see Uncle AB right there? Uncle AB?
So does she have Antron's finger tied?
Oh,
whenever.
And Ariana and Anson and Adler. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's Daddy. Look, there's Daddy. Can you say Daddy?
But yeah, talking about Ron Capps and the whole thing with winging it, and of course Brainerd going to the zoo, and I think a couple of years ago, Steve went out there and they done a video for NHRA, and it was the most funniest and hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. Is there any possibility that Steve might be able to wing it with Ron anytime soon?
I think that would be a great idea. I do. I think that would be a great idea, and I'll have to ask Ron if he would allow him to be there.
I think it would be hilarious, and It's so funny. I forget where they were actually eating some wings, and he started biting into them, and you could see the beads of sweat on his forehead. And so my hat's off to them because I love hot food, but hot food does not like me, so I tend to stay away from it.
You can thank Cassandra for that high quality video content because that was all her.
To get to on jail real quick and Vancing Hines, you helped them out with PR stuff, and you also helped Kelly Klotz. Um,
Yes.
Speaking of Vancing Hines, with Mission, did you have any involvement in that?
When it came to the B2B relationship with Vance and Hines and Mission Foods, that was all Terry Vance. But my relationship with Vance and Hines started back when I worked for Harley Davidson. So when I worked for Harley Davidson, I developed a really close relationship with Eddie Krawick and Andrew Hines, and that really transpired into where I am today. Uh, they were one of my first clients because we knew each other so well and developed that rapport before I started wearing the public relations hat. And it really fulfilling a role. It's more like family. When you do a job for family, you always want to do the best job possible. And so they're every one of the clients is very near and dear to my heart. But for them, it's really special because they believed in me when nobody did at the beginning.
And I tell you that was a big deal with Mission coming on board. And in the years past, with when Angel was racing with Corey Reed with George Bryce, they were having some problems with sponsorship. And I called George up one day and I said, "Hey, can I give you a hand? Can I make some phone calls to try to get y'all anybody interested?" And said yes. It's very hard.
It's not hard to see why you would sponsor somebody like Angel. Angel has a presence about her, both in person and online, that is infectious, and she is as real as it gets. She has the coon ass edge, if you could pardon my French. Uh, but it is her brand and what she brings not only to the racetrack but in her what she allows to show of her personal life is very, very special.
And I tell you, a lot of people, they're like, "Oh my goodness, she's upset." But I like to see a driver like that. When she makes a mistake, I like to see that because I know how much she cares about performing very well for her fans and for her sponsor. And I think it's a great thing.
She is a very passionate person, both on and off the racetrack. She's experienced a lot of personal and professional adversities that she's overcome, that she is very open about. And her story of perseverance is one that is worth reading, worth listening, and just worth being affiliated with.
Right. And a lot of people don't know she's actually a registered nurse as well. And so there's a lot of things about these drivers that a lot of people don't know. And that's the reason why I like these podcasts and like to get them on there so they can open up and talk a little bit more about them and how it relates to the sport. Because, 15 minutes, 10 minutes on FS1 just don't get them the time that they actually deserve.
Right.
And I know FS1, they're doing a great job and they try to do the best they can. But, you look at NASCAR and they got so many avenues of like NASCAR Hub and stuff like that. And we need to try to get more stuff like that on the air. And I think it'd be great for NHRA to try to come up with their own channel, not just NHRA TV, but their own channel on TV, so people can get in depth on the lives of some of these racers.
Right. I agree.
Just real quick, and I'm going to let you go. Kelly Klotz. I think they have made some really big improvements this year with their motorcycle. I know Kelly has been going through some medical issues and everything. But as far as the performance of their motorcycle, it has really turned around. And I tell you what, she's going to be someone to look out for next season.
Yes, they have a very close relationship with Vance and Hines, with Eddie Krawick and Andrew Hines, and Vance and Hines has taken on a larger role in her program. When it came to discovering that she was going to have to sit a couple races out due to health, they had recommended Ellie Tonglet to get on the motorcycle, and he has been able to identify some areas of improvement. And as you'd seen in Topeka, they had qualified in the top half of the field, gotten a round win, and she will be riding in Indy, and she hopes to experience the same success. So I am very proud of her. I've been with her since she was a part-time racer, and she too is somebody who's always believed in me when nobody else had, and helped me build my business. So she's a very big advocate, and I'm an advocate for her.
Yeah, her and her husband are two great people. They really are, and it's just really them that run that team, and I think they do a very good job. They went out, they got them a sponsor that's very dedicated to them, the Pipe Fitters Union.
The Steam Fitters UA Local 602.
Yeah, Steam Fitters. Thank you.
That is actually where Chris Klotz is employed in Maryland. And when it came to creating that partnership, it was very easy for them to solidify that agreement because of Chris Klotz.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you get going. I want to thank you for coming on tonight, and I wish y'all the best of luck in Indy and the rest of the season. And I know the season has been a little rocky for Steve this year, but hey, we've seen Steve plenty of times in that team go out there and win every race in the countdown, and it's very possible that can happen again. It looks like they're peaking at the right time. I think we may have lost Miss Torrence. But again, ladies and gentlemen, it was great to have Miss Torrence on tonight with us. And we're hoping maybe one day we'll be able to get Steve to join the show as well. But there's some things I wanted to talk about that has happened over the past weekend in motorsports. One of those was, Brainer, that happened last weekend. And I want to talk about Lyle Barnett here. Lyle Barnett, he actually lost in the first round by only 23 thousandths of a second. But at the same time that he lost first round, he was able to break the speed record there at Brainer with a pass of 256.16 miles an hour. So even with a loss, it was still a great outing to pick up that record. And of course, we had Miss Torrance on, and we want to talk about the two winners there at Brainer in the professional categories. Of course, there was no pro stock or pro stock motorcycle taking place. But Bob Taskus was your funny car winner, and Steve Torrance was your top fuel winner. Also want to talk about some things that are coming up. And one of those things is the U.S. Nationals, the Dodge Power Brokers U.S. Nationals that will take place on August the 31st through September the 5th. And also don't forget this weekend, right here in Florida, the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is set at Daytona International Speedway at 7 p.m. Also at some of our local tracks, we have at Gainesville Raceway. They will host the NHRA TV Challenge on August the 27th, and that will take place at 10 a.m. Remember, gates open at night at 9 o'clock, and racing starts at 10. Some big events that are coming up is the 352 Shootout. That will take place on October 29th at Gainesville Raceway. This is an excellent event. Got a bunch of different heads-up classes, open comp class. If you don't know what open comp is, it is a full tree, but it is on a handicap, so you will get all 3 ambers, and you have to go at one time. And just depending on your dial-ins on the cars, that is set from your fastest qualifying pass. And what they do, since it's 8th mile, they'll take 5/10 away from that, and you have to run as close as you can to that without breaking out of your index. So there's going to be plenty of vendors on site. They're going to do trunk or treat with the kids. It's going to be a really great time, and you should come out and support it. We need to support these tracks, because if we don't, guess what happens? They close their doors, they tear them down, and 2 or 3 months later, you're like, man, I wish I went to that track. Maybe I could have helped it keep going and not shut down. Also coming up is the Ducks X No Mercy race, and this will take place at the South Georgia Motorsports Park on October the 22nd through the 30th. Another great event. Some really fast cars here. X275, 10.5-inch tire class. It is unreal. These cars are running the 8th mile into 3.6s, 3.8s, run around 230 miles an hour. Duck always puts on a great event up there at South Georgia. So try to go up there and visit if you can't come out to Gainesville and you're closer to the track there in Adel. Go up there and support that event. Also, I want to talk about a car show that is coming up in our local area right here in Stark, Florida. This is for Lacey Laycock. She was a 16-year-old girl that passed away, and there's still some expenses left. They're trying to raise money for her tombstone, and so we're having this car show on September the 3rd at 10 a.m., and it will take place at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. Sorry, David, we're getting a little bit of an echo on your end. But this will take place at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. It's $20 a vehicle. We're looking for everything from cars, trucks, Jeeps, race cars. If it's got wheels, bring it out. We're even trying to get motorcycles to participate. I know David, he's going to be very involved in this. He's going to be our DJ that day. And I'll tell you what, come on out. We're going to have a food vendor as well that will be serving food. And it's a lot of fun for the whole family. Hey, if you don't have a car, no problem. We're going to have a 50-50 raffle going on. Hey, you might get lucky and win half the pot. The other pot will go to the family. Let's try to bring David on back in here. I think he has dropped out as well. Again, thank y'all for joining tonight and listening to Natalie Torrence talk about her career in public relations and all the things that goes on behind the scenes. Next week, we're actually going to try to reach out to Donald Long, which is the founder of Duck X No Mercy and also the Lights Out and Sweet 16 race, and have him on here and discuss all the different classes and what's on tap. So we hope to have you join us next Wednesday night. If there is a change, it may be next Thursday. We always like to try to work with our partners and guests that we bring on. David, do you have anything to offer?
Mitchell, I just wanted to say, if you can hear me, and I hope I'm not echoing too bad. Hey, that was a great show, great interview with Mrs. Torrance right there. What a beautiful child that she has there. That's what the show's all about. Bringing people on here that's got different backgrounds in motorsports. This young lady has a background in public relations. You can see the passion and everything on her face. You did a great job with the interview. Sorry I couldn't come on. I was having some technical difficulties, but great job on the show tonight, Mitchell, and looking forward to next week's show. Also, don't forget On the Spot with David Rogers on Tuesday night, as we hopefully are going to have a couple of guests, and Mitchell still may be doing some producing for us, but his show will be next Wednesday as well. So again, Mitchell, great job, and wish I could have been on. I wanted to ask Ms. Torrance some questions, but just didn't get a chance to. You went over everything that we've got going on, and again, great show, and just glad to be a part of it. And I'm glad you're hosting this. A lot of followers, a lot of great information you put out, a lot of guests that people sometimes don't get a chance to talk to, or you see them on TV, but you don't get a chance to talk to them.
Right, and that's
so
what
you
these
bring
shows
that
are.
to this audience. So again, I just want to thank you very much for what you do.
Yeah, and that's what these shows are all about, to get better connection to the fans with their drivers, and also to let them know that, there's so many moving parts in racing, no matter if it's drag racing, IndyCar, NASCAR. If you want a career in motorsports, you don't have to drive a car and you don't have to work with wrenches. There's other opportunities out there for people. Um, One of the things that we do a lot on here on the Spot Motorsports with David Rogers, we live stream all the racing events from Gainesville Raceway, and I want to thank Miss Kennedy, the track manager at Gainesville, for allowing us to have the opportunity to do that. There's a lot of people that don't get to make it. Their family lives in different states, and this gives them the ability to connect and watch their loved ones do something that they really enjoy doing. David, are you going to sit back and drink you a Coke and watch the sugar? Coke
Mitchell, you're exactly right, and this start.
I think David's having a little bit of issues again.
Sorry about that, Mitchell.
That's okay. That's okay. This happens every once in a while. Everybody runs into technical difficulties and all. But one thing I've never really talked on this show is about my love for drag racing and how I really enjoy this sport. And I'll tell you what, we're going to flip the roles since we got some people on. I'll let you ask me some questions, David.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay. Hey, let's flip the roles. And you're exactly right. You were talking about your passion and love for racing, and I know it. Me and you've talked many nights about your passion for this sport. The creativity of this show. You got to think, we only started this show back in March, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's on, this show has got 1,300 straight, steady followers, and it reaches more than 40,000 people in some way, form, or fashion. So there's a lot of following in this sport, and Mitchell and his team and us are just doing a small part to try to help promote this to promote this sport. And to not only help Mitchell out in what he does, but all the other NHRA drivers, NASCAR, whatever you may be driving. This show's for you. And Mitchell, like I said, had a great idea with this thing. We tossed it around, and look where it's at now. But let's get on to an interview. Mitchell, I know that you played sports here at Bradford High School. You were an excellent football player. You
never played football
you
in high
ran
school.
track, and I know that was your passion. You ran cross country, and I do believe. Yeah. So I know why you were playing those sports. Was you interested in motorsports at that time? And if you were, who was your idol, or who did you like to watch while you was growing up?
Well, actually, David, I was not really into motorsports at that time. I mean, I would watch it on TV and enjoyed it that way. But my whole passion was track and field. So I looked up to people like Carl Lewis. He was, I looked up to him. I was a sprinter. I participated in long jump, triple jump, and actually was a decathlete. So decathlete, we done up to 10 different events in 2 days, 5 each day. And but he was someone that I actually looked up to.
Yeah, so you were talking about your track and field stuff and some of the things that you've done and some of the accolades that I know you've got from that sport. So when did you start getting into motorsports? After you graduated and got into the workforce, got into the into what we call everyday life? Who did you watch? What made you fall in love with the sport?
Well, I want to tell you a funny story here, but what really happened was me and a bunch of guys, we decided to skip high school and go to Gainesville to the drag strip for the Gator Nationals. So we all skipped and jumped in the car and drove over there and went out there for the day. And right then and there, I was hooked. I was hooked as soon as I seen the cars go down. I was hooked. And this all happened in the senior year. And so, even though I was really involved in track and field, when I went and skipped that day and I saw those top fuel cars run and the funny cars run, I actually became a real big fan of John Force.
So, yeah, John Forrest, ladies and gentlemen, and Mitchell's talked about him many times. One of the best drivers out there, one of the best. He's still driving. He's still managing teams. His daughters are driving. He's one of the best out there and has always been. And, Mitchell, to model yourself or follow somebody like John Force is a great attribute to you and into your racing. Besides John Force, who else do you like? Who else do you follow? Because I know we'll talk about this here in a minute. You race in a series that we'll talk about here in a minute. But who else besides John Force do you like and maybe model yourself after, or try to model yourself after?
Well, today I actually follow Steve Torrence, as you can see back there on my wall over here. I've got a Steve Torrence crew shirt. And I've also always been a real big fan of Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle. I think those Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle, what really interests me there is the field that is set with 16 vehicles. Can be a mere margin of a couple of tenths from the top spot to the 16th spot. And it's very competitive, and it's more of a driver's responsibility instead of the car's performance on horsepower, because you have to be extremely great on the tree to leave. If you're a little late, and even though that you may have the fastest car, you're probably going to get beat on a hole shot. And so and that also goes with the pro stock motorcycle. Their field is pretty much set the same way, and everything's pretty much right there on that starting line. And so, pro stock motorcycle, I've always been a fan of Angel Sampe. Uh, I have followed her for many years, and me and Natalie, we actually talked about her tonight. Uh, I like how she wears her feelings on her sleeve, per se. If she does something that she did wrong, she puts the blame on her. And I think that's a really great thing to share with the fans. As far as pro stock car, I would have to say Erica Anders is someone who I really like to follow. And as far as funny car right now, I like to keep up with Robert Height and Ron Capps. Ron is a super nice guy, and we talked about him a little bit tonight as well. And the things that he does, this thing that he does after the races, called Winging It, with Ron is totally hilarious. So you'll have to go to Ron Capps Motorsports or go to Ron Capps Facebook page and watch those videos. It is hilarious because they're sitting down and they're eating some of the hottest wings that has ever been on this earth. And so it's very entertaining. And, I like to follow drivers that are entertaining, that also like to get back to the fans, take up time with the kids. Natalie, one of the most important things is the drivers taking up time with kids, signing autographs and doing pictures, because those kids are the future of our sport. Either they're going to be a driver, and that could be a sportsman driver doing ET bracket racing like I do, or they can become drivers, mechanics, PR personnel, or just a fan that will continue to come to the track, buying tickets. And so that's the future, and I really enjoy seeing drivers do that. And if I see a kid that's out there at Gainesville Raceway and they want to see my car, hey, it's all about them. Put all the other stuff to the side. The kids want to get in the car, let them get in it. Take them time, show them the motor. Take them back to the trunk, and they really get a kick out of seeing that nitrous bottle back there. But that's what it's all about. It's about coming together and having fun.
Take them back to the front. They really get a kick out of seeing the nitrous ball back there. But that's what it's all about. It's about coming together and having.
Mitchell, you're exactly right. It is about having fun and doing something that you love. And I know you love racing. And you got into it a little bit there, Mitchell, there right before you finished what you were saying there. For everybody that doesn't really know you, which a lot of people do know you and follow you, when you come and do this show, you're always talking and, and interviewing somebody else within the business. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you race in over at Gainesville Raceway, what you drive, and just a few things about that while we got a few minutes left of the show. Because there's some people that say, I know Mitchell Gunter, but I don't know exactly what he does, really, especially within motorsports. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
Well, first off, there's a lot of people that usually don't get interested in bracket racing because they don't understand it. So we as racers, we have to educate other people about bracket racing, how it comes about, why do we have bracket racing to make it, a more level playing field in each of our classes. And I believe if we do more education to people, I think that will grow the fan base of bracket racing. And I tell you, bracket racing is really big, and you can actually make a lot of money. There's a bunch of big bracket races across the country all the time where the winners can win $50,000 on a Saturday, $50,000 on a Sunday. You have the million that they put on. Uh, they put on a big bracket race up in Tennessee twice a year. There's money to be made, and the prize money is really big with those big money bracket races. But you have to be very good, and that all starts with you at your local track and competing against the best. And we have some really talented people out at Gainesville Raceway. Uh, I'll mention like Phil Green, Derek Putnam. We have Bart Pat-Gillen, uh, Daniel Salyers, which I went to a final against Daniel a couple of weeks back. Uh, and I know particularly just in our sportsman class, David,
Gary Vasquez.
Derek Vasquez, yes. He races out there. Thank goodness he's in a different class and I don't have to race him. But he's very talented and very good. That whole family is. But, you know, our class has probably maybe 5 or 6 people who have won track championships out there. So it is very, very competitive. And that I love it being competitive. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
You know, Mitchell, you're exactly right. And if y'all have never seen Mitchell race or any of the drivers he just talked about race, you can come out there to the Gainesville Raceway when Mitchell is racing, and I tell you, it's nothing like it. I've been up in the tower, I've been down below. It's just, man, it just gives you chill bumps when you hear those cars rev up, man, and take down that track. And no matter which side you're on, the Lucas Oil side or the Budweiser side, and those lights light up down at the end there, and it gives your time and how fast you went. And I guarantee you, there's nothing like that feeling in the world. And Mitchell will tell you. I know me and Mitchell are big football fans and baseball fans and things like that. But to take a car down that track like that, it's just got to be a heck of a rush. And me and Mitchell's talked about that before. And Mitchell, I'm sure I'm right. I know that's got to be a rush for you each and every time you go down that track.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's really great that we get to go out there and compete at a great facility like Gainesville Raceway. You know, there's a lot of tracks across the country that is not adequate like Gainesville. And to race on the same tracks as your pro drivers, you know, say, for instance, Don Garlitz and Warren Johnson, you know, some of the greats that have raced on that track, you know, is a great testament to have that opportunity. And it is a thrill to run down the track. It's a lot of fun, and you know, we all of us racers, we're like a big happy family. But when we go up there to stage those cars, it's lights out. You know, and then we're friends again at the other end. But once we're in those beams, we don't give each other an inch. We're there to put them on the trailer and send them home. But at the end of the day, like I said, we're all a bunch of great friends, and if someone has a problem, any one of us is willing to rush over and help the other one out. I know we have a gentleman that runs in the sportsman class. I knew that he was having some issues with his car. I picked up the telephone and gave him a call. I said, hey, if you need me to come over and give you a hand, all you got to do is ask. I'll come over and help you out so you can get your car back on the track and start racing. and that's what it's all about, David.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, Mitchell. And thank you for the great stories and the things that got you into racing and how you built yourself up now to hosting this show. I know we got a couple of minutes left. I know that time's about up. I'm gonna let you close out the show, Mitchell, as you normally do. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate Miss Torrence for coming on with her beautiful child. What a beautiful child she was, Mitchell, laughing and carrying on, and that's what it's all about with us too. Like you said, they're normal, everyday people. They've got a special talent or a special gift, and we need to share that with people. And I know they like to do the same as well. So thank you, Mitchell. God bless you, brother. I know we got a big football game coming up Friday night as we're going to go over to Baker County. And we're going to see if the Tornadoes can bring home a victory. But I'm going to let you close this out here as you normally do. Thank you, guys. Love each and every one of you. And Mitchell, take it away.
All right, I appreciate David coming on. And I'll tell you what, I'm hoping that we get to race this Saturday. The weather is not looking so good. And, I want to go out there and hit that nitrous button and fly down the track with that Charger. But I think Mother Nature is going to throw a wrench in this deal this weekend. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm sorry that we had a little bit of technical difficulties here and there. But, those things tend to happen. So, again, we will try to go live at Gainesville Raceway this Saturday at 10 o'clock, weather permitting. And then we'll be back next Wednesday night right here with On the Spot Motorsports Podcast. Until then, take care.